Good morning, guys. This is Christine from Paradise Gardens, and I thought this morning I would give you guys a little garden tour. Just kind of showing you around the front porch here what I've done. All my salad bowls are starting to fill in with lettuce and radishes and mustard greens. All these lilies are getting ready to open. I got some sunflowers. Dianthus. These are one of my favorite smelling flowers. These are my pots here. I've got some lilies and nasturtiums, some kale. The kale, it's kind of a funny story. These actually ended up in here because one of my seed packets fell over and I couldn't pick them all out. So that was kind of an added bonus. I've got some tomatoes here. And these are Dr. Witchy's and Dad's Sunset. And they're both a big kind of yellowish orange tomato, a slicer. This is our little sun deck area that we made out of some free pallets that we got from the roofing company. And right now I've got a shade cloth over the greenhouse because it just gets too hot now. I don't want all my plants to get fried in there. I've got my house plants in there right now. These are some marigolds that I grew from seed. They're just now starting to get their little blossoms on them. Got the persimmon tree is leafing out really nice. It's got some good growth on it this year. These are some zinnias that I've also grown from seed, and as well as some poppies. I had no idea the poppies would get this big. And then over here, this is the new fire pit we installed. We're getting ready to have a fire pit tonight, so I've got a little cardboard going. Over here we got some strawberries, some chocolate mint. I planted some lilies, and we've got some peas here. And I just planted a new fall gold raspberry. And I got some sweet williams popping up here. I just put this in yesterday. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to plant here yet because it's kind of a shady spot, so maybe some hostas and some bleeding hearts. Not quite sure yet. I'll take you over to the chicken area first. Kind of a sad story. A couple nights ago we had deer come into our yard. We left the gate open just for about an hour, and it was enough for them to come in and ravage about 5 of our fruit trees. So this one got hit really hard. Half of this one of my cherry trees and both my apple trees got hit pretty hard. Just a real big bummer. So this is the area down here. I just put in this new raised bed as well, and this one sees a lot of shade too. As you can see, there's a lot of tree cover up above, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to plant here. I would like to grow vegetables, but I just don't think it's sunny enough. So it could be a little shade garden. Got my fuchsia hanging up. Got some peas growing up the tree here. On the end, I have a Cinderella pumpkin. And then these are all different varieties of potatoes. And in the back here, I've got a whole row of onions that go all the way down the entire length of the fence. Got some zucchinis. Boy, the chickens are talkative this morning. Hi, ladies. Chick, chick, chick. The golden chain tree is doing really good too. It's got some good new growth on it this year. Just planted that last year. One of my favorite trees. Some of the varieties of potatoes that I have in here is Austrian Crescent. I've got Caribe, Red Norland. I've got some fingerlings in here. Can't remember which one. I think it might be the banana fingerling. And some other ones that I haven't tried. Red Chieftain. These are the Red Norlands here, and they're by far the most advanced as far as size and growth. They're all doing really good. The sunflowers opening up. These are seeds that I saved from 2 years ago. They're a multi-headed sunflower. Then I have another Cinderella pumpkin planted on the end here. It's just a really nice, peaceful place to come and sit and watch the chickens, and no matter where you go, there's always some shade that you can put the chair into, which is really nice on hot days. And this is my husband's favorite spot to come to after work, crack open a beer, hang out on the hammock. We've got some figs on the fig tree, which is super exciting. This is a honey fig, which I think is the best. Best tasting, most sweetest. These are some cabbages that I just put around the base. I don't really want to waste any planting space in this yard whatsoever, so I like to plant around the base of all my fruit trees. And these 3 fruit trees that you're seeing here, these got onions planted all around the base. And we got some more fig trees here, as well as some comfrey and some white alpine strawberries. And the bees just really love this comfrey. I've got 1 solitary fig on this fig tree. This is a Desert King. So I'm hoping by next year it'll put off some more growth and some more figs. This is our Asian pear tree, and I've got a bunch of mint planted down at the bottom of that tree. This is some wild sorrel that I just allowed to grow at the bottom of this tree. It just came up there naturally. And this is my Liberty apple, and it's supposed to be disease resistant, but it's actually very disappointing because it's definitely not proving to be disease resistant whatsoever. It was diseased last year, and it also looks like it's diseased this year too. It's got a lot of deformation in the leaves. But it is setting some fruit, and I'm training the arms of it right now to get kind of a better shape. So I just put some stakes in the ground, tie some strings to the branches, and kind of pull the branches to where I want them to go. And after about a year, they stay in that shape, and then you can take the string off. This is the Fuji apple that got hit really hard by the deer. All the new growth got eaten off. Surprisingly enough, none of the fruit was missing, and it's got a lot of fruit set. I just went through and thinned all of the apples, and so hopefully that will recover nicely. And this we just filled with dirt last night. More raised beds. These are made out of recycled Trex decking that I found for free on Craigslist, and I just made them into raised beds. I've got some multiplier onions here. I've got a cup and saucer vine there. I do believe that's a Kikinda gourd with some variegated nasturtiums. And then all these pole beans that are crawling up the trellis, those are Good Mother Stellard, and those are seeds from Baker Creek. And then in the front row is Mbambo. These are bush beans. And then I have some cucumbers, 2 different plants, and I've already had some cucumbers off of them yesterday actually. So you can see down in there, got some cucumbers. Not so much on this one, but it's getting there. Got some volunteer foxglove, some black bamboo that I transplanted. We got some daylilies that I got for free from a lady that was giving it away, and some sunflowers planted. If anybody else has sunflowers that are actually in bloom, leave a comment down below, because I think I might be one of the only ones. Because I planted them by seed so early. The end of February actually, I started getting them under grow lights, and it was way too soon. Alright, sorry about the neighbor, he's got his tractor going, so it's a little bit noisy. Alright, so these are the new beds that I put in last year. I've got a Cinderella pumpkin. cannot remember what this one is. This one, oh, this is a Casper. This is a white pumpkin. Blah, a white pumpkin. I've got a zucchini there. Can't remember what variety that is. It's one of my favorite ones, but this one is a blue. What are you doing? What are you doing out there, Jinx? Huh? There is a cat right there. You can barely see him, but he loves to get up in this tree. All right, this one, I should have put the tags a little bit better where I can read them. Oh, this is called a Gerardale, and this is a blue pumpkin, and it's a kind of like a winter keeper. And then we've got Sweet Meat, I do believe is, let's see, Sweet Meat. This one is a dumpling squash. This one is a curry squash from seeds that I saved from last year. This one is, oh, this is also a curry squash. And then it looks like the two on the end are carnival squash, and they're super pretty. So I got, yeah, those two, and then these onions were just sprouting in my pantry, so I decided just to plant them in there to watch them bloom and get some seeds maybe. This here looks like a zucchini. Yep, it's a round zucchini. I think it's called 8-ball. And then we've got some bush beans in the front. These are dragon tongue bush beans. A couple more in the back. Got some dinosaur kale in the back there. And then we've got some Beet Alpha cucumbers grown in the front here. So I'm hoping they do good. Oh wait, this is a green dragon. This one's green dragon, that one's Beet Alpha, and that one's green dragon. New variety that I'm trying this year. And the pear tree is doing good, although it set absolutely no fruit this year. We actually got fruit last year, but nothing this year, which is kind of weird. Strawberries are doing good though. The wisteria is looking really majestic right now. It's so cool to get up underneath there and get up underneath all them blooms. It's really, really cool. And then over here we have a Lakota winter squash. This is a squash that has been saved from the Lakota Indians throughout the years. They used to grow this squash. It's a good keeper. And my friend Janelle, she gave me some dahlias, and I've got 3 of them planted in the back there. I've got some cosmos and some calendula. One didn't make it. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but hopefully the rest survive. I've got some bush beans here. These ones are Borlato bush beans. And I thought I didn't need a support for bush beans, but apparently I do, because they're starting to send up these little runners. So that was kind of a surprise. And then I have my paste tomatoes here. I've got some San Maranzo, 3 of those in the back, and then the 2 in the front are Amish paste tomatoes. And then over here in this bed, I've got 5 ground cherries here, which are putting on some blossoms. And then I have 4 poppies that I planted in the empty space in between, and it's just a jungle in there right now. I had absolutely no idea how big poppies got, at least this variety. And I've got some leftover potatoes starting in these grow bags here, and I've got 2 more grow bags there that I've got some potatoes in. Everything's looking really good. I've got my my dad's golden chain tree growing in the back there. It's kind of past its prime, but it was so bright about 5 days ago. I should have been out here recording it then to show you guys. It was really, really cool. All these beautiful purple rhodies are blooming right now. And then this is a weeping golden chain tree, and it's actually starting to bloom as well. I really should have got out here a lot sooner before all this noise started. It's gonna be a really warm day, so I think everybody's getting out early, getting their work done. That's a golden sumac. No, sorry, that's a staghorn sumac. And we've got roses just getting ready to open. All kinds of buds, and it looks really healthy, no black spot yet. Got a nasturtium in there. All kinds of volunteer strawberries. These are all the white alpine variety. I don't think I've ever brought you guys back here to show you this little side yard here. But this is daylily. We've got some more staghorn sumac. Got some peonies back off in there, some columbine. There's lilies in the back. A whole bunch of garden phlox. And then it goes down into some strawberries and some rose bushes and hydrangeas and things like that. And then our bathhouse is that way. And of course the pond. I should probably feed the fish. They always get so excited when it's feeding time. I've got koi fish, fancy goldfish, and regular goldfish in here. And the koi fish are by far my favorite. Alright. I just love that one we call Disco. He's a, or she, I don't know which, but a metallic koi. All the tulips have already been done blooming and doing their thing. They were so pretty. Over here I've got some, just a variety of different plants, some lilies, columbine, can't remember the name of that. Got some ornamental grass, hosta, these are spent tulips, and my iris is blooming and it smells so good. Who knew irises had such a pretty delicate scent. Okay, so now we're kind of back where we started. Look how pretty that blue is. And it looks so good with the honeysuckle. Okay, so let's take you around and start on the other side here. All right, so I've got a whole bunch of lilies planted in this bed here. I've got some strawberries. Here's a rescue blueberry bush that we got from my husband's sister, Angie. And it's putting on a lot of not only new growth, but a whole bunch of blooms now. So we're actually gonna get some berries off of this bush this year, which is really exciting. All those strawberries. So these are some peppers. They're all sweet pepper varieties. I have a rampicante cucumber right there, and I do believe this is the same thing here. That I think is a Kikinda gourd, and this is another rampicante. You can kind of see they have like this swan-necked look in zucchini. And this is my out-of-control hops plant. I had no idea. So last year when I planted it, it was about a 2 to 3 inch piece of root that I planted, and I mean last year it really took off, but this year it's just really doing amazing things. And over here I had some cinder blocks that I had left over, so I recycled them for planting containers, and I've got some peas, some sweet peas growing up in here. Variegated nasturtium. Yeah, it's just doing so good. It's sending out so many runners. So these 3 vining plants are called the competition strain Kikinda, and these will get up to 7 feet long gourds. So I just envision them hanging from this trellis and looking really cool. This here is a sweet dumpling winter squash. And I've got some Chinese red noodle beans here, but they look really pathetic. Every time I try growing Chinese noodle beans, they just will not do good for me. I'm not sure that I'll try to grow them again if they don't do good this year for me again. Got some more potatoes in these grow bags. A whole bunch of cilantro. And I put a couple of sunflowers at the entrance of my cattle panel trellis here. I thought that would look really pretty. And then I also have a whole row of cilantro that I've been picking off of here, and then all kinds of chives. And my vision was to get just a whole flush of purple here with all the seed heads. And I really like to pick these seed heads and put them in my salads. They're really tasty. And these here are Christmas pole lima beans. I've never grown lima beans before. They're getting really eaten by the slugs. I've been putting some diatomaceous earth on them. That's what this white powdery stuff residue is. We'll see. We'll see how they do. Alright, so let's go over to this bed here. Got just some cilantro popping up in here. Most of this is volunteer from last year's plant. Just some random onions. This whole bed was actually lettuce, but I got an infestation of wireworms, which is brand new to me, and they just devastated my entire crop. I didn't even get a single leaf. I have one lone survivor right there. That's the only one left out of all the lettuce that I planted. So that was a bummer. In this bed, I had a whole bunch of radishes, same thing. They ate every single radish, or rather killed and ate every single radish that I had before they could even develop. So I took all those out. I've been setting these little traps. You put a piece of potato in the ground with a skewer, and yep, I'll show you what the roundworms look like. Or not roundworms, sorry. What the wire worms look like. I'm just gonna pull it out here with my fingernail. This is what the culprit looks like. They're awful. They will ruin new seedlings. And I just do the little El Kabatsky. I won't show this, but I'm gonna squish him because I don't want him in my garden, and I'll come back to those other ones later, but that's how you set wireworm traps. Very effective. I've been doing that for probably about a month now, and you'd be surprised how many I've actually killed. But yeah, they'll get in, they'll put holes all through your potatoes, rendering them useless for storage. They will eat all your starts. Really bad to have. I'm not quite sure where they came from, but anyways, so these are my peppers. I've got King of the North. These are all King of the North peppers, big red bell peppers. Whole bunch of cilantro. I'm gonna let some of this go to seed because I really enjoy the flowers, and I also want to get some seeds as well. Back here I got a whole bunch of beets going. These are all the cylindrical beets. It's my favorite kind. I use them for pickling. I really don't eat beets any other way other than pickling. Ooh, look. Got a little ladybug. How cool is that? I've actually seen a lot of ladybugs this year. Oh wow, I'm already getting some blossoms on the tops of my... These are volunteer potatoes that I must have missed last year. And when you see flowers like that, that means that there's some new potatoes underneath that you can harvest. We're gonna go underneath the wisteria, and I just want to take a moment to show you how cool it looks from under here. Look at all these hanging blooms. The lighting probably isn't that good, but there is like a ton of bees underneath here too. It's really cool. So all the way around is just awesome hanging blooms. And here I've got some romaine lettuce that made it through the wireworm infestation. And this is the entrance into the garden. I've got some creeping jenny, some forget-me-nots, garden phlox. I've got some hostas and a juga. And here is a coral bells. That's a heuchera. And I've got some volunteer wild daisies popping up. That's also growing in some thyme and some creeping jenny. It's really getting out of control. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna approach this yet, because I do still want a walkway. Hi, bud. Meet the jeans. We have got some allium blooms. Aw, are you kidding me? It's gonna start mowing. Got a whole bunch of lilies coming up here. Whole bunch of creeping jenny. It's kind of taking over. What do you want, bud? You want some attention? Oh, you want some attention? Huh, bud? Oh, well, fine. Sheesh. He's so Jekyll and Hyde. It's like, turn over and rub my belly. And then be all pissy. No pissy. Butthead. And then this here is, my potato patch. I can't recall actually what kind of potatoes these are, and I don't know that I put a tag, which is kind of a bummer, but I do know that these are Caribe potatoes, which are my absolute favorite, so I would definitely wanted to remember where I put those. I'm not quite sure where to take you first. There's just so much to look at. Let's see, I guess we'll work our way up. So this is a whole bed of spent tulips and daffodils. Got some thyme that's flowering here. Got some volunteer columbine. I just love the two-tone colors. This here is my peach tree. It's looking really good, actually. Okay, so I've got some raspberries here. These volunteered themselves here. I've got a little clematis. It comes back every year. This is a volunteer columbine. Oop, that's a pretty one too. Over here, I've got some more alliums and a whole bunch of raspberries. I think this is, I can't remember the name of it, but I've got a ground cover there. I've got some peas in the background, another poppy. There's a climbing hydrangea here. I've got some blooms on my wisteria that are getting ready to open. This is a different variety. It's kind of a weird looking variety. I'll show that to you when it actually comes into bloom. This is that beautiful purple flowering thyme that everybody loves so much when it's in bloom. A whole bunch of raspberries. There's some strawberries in there too. Mostly raspberries. In here I've got a teepee trellis, and I've got some pole beans that are getting eaten by the slugs, unfortunately. I've got about 3 plants in there. There's a whole bunch of mint in there. It's really taking over. I've got to do something about this bed. I've had it all cleared out to just bare dirt before, and somehow this creeping jenny just comes out of nowhere, and it comes in and takes over, and so does the mint. I've got a couple of figs on this Olympus fig tree. I had to wait for the lawnmower to go by. So I'm not quite sure why, but this happened last year and the year before. I get little babies and then they just shrivel up and fall off. I'm surprised to see that there's actually been a few that have hung on. See, here's another one. And once it gets yellow like that, they just fall right off, and I don't know why. It's a healthy tree. It gets lots of sun. Oh, look, here's another one. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Got a whole bunch of lemon balm here. I planted some dahlias in here, and I also have some dahlias in here as well as some sunflowers. Would you just look at these volunteer mullein? They're really out of control. These are medicinal, especially the first year that they have these little rosettes. It's really a good time to pick these leaves, and you dehydrate them. You can actually smoke these, and they're supposed to be very beneficial for your lungs, surprisingly. You wouldn't think any kind of smoke would be good for your lungs, but apparently these are, which is kind of hard to believe, but my husband has asthma, and he's smoked the leaves of these mulleins before, and he says it actually helps, so maybe it is true. And these beans in the back are called 1,000-year-old cave beans, and they've got a really cool story behind them. They were found in a cave, and they were dated back, I can't remember what place, where, like what geographic location they were found in, but it was somewhere far away from Washington State, that's for sure. And probably another country, I'm sure. And but they found them in a cave, and they dated to be over 1,000 years old. Somehow the seeds were still viable, and here we are, able to plant these old variety of beans. I've got a ground cherry here with a poppy planted next to it, and I've got a dahlia in there, and a little zinnia that's trying to fight for its place. It's a white polar or something there, polar bear, I can't remember. It's a white zinnia. And I've got a snapdragon that actually came back from last year, so that's pretty cool. This is a volunteer columbine, and also a volunteer foxglove that's just about ready to open. And then over here in our little sit-in area, got some more volunteer foxglove that I'm just gonna let go. Got some horseradish back there in that pot, some sunflowers that I planted. This is lavender, and this is just a bunch of sedums. I've got a blueberry bush back there, another sedum. I've got some strawberries there, ever-bearing strawberries, and this is another volunteer columbine. I'm just gonna take a moment to sit here and just pan around at our view that we get from sitting in the swing. It's a nice shady spot to come to in the morning, but if you want the last rays of the sun in the evening and get warmed by them, this is the best spot to sit in the evening. Down here in this bed, this is the succulent bed. I've got some tomatoes planted. I have black creme and a Cherokee purple, two of my favorites. I've got some volunteer potatoes. I think I'm gonna forever have potatoes in my garden because I just don't seem to dig every single last one up, and I end up with volunteers the next year. This is some more of that creeping thyme and some more succulents. In this bed, I have a couple garlic going. I've got a big rosemary bush, a volunteer mullein, some volunteer pansies. But I did plant these poppies here, and I've got a lily that's gonna come up. And there is some strawberries in there, but they're getting kind of crowded out. My grape vine is doing really good. I do recall seeing some grapes on it. Oh, yep, here we go. Here's some grapes. Kind of hard to see, but they're there. Not too many, but I did just plant this 2 years ago. This is my asparagus, and it's getting really overgrown. I was really bad about actually picking it this year. Okay, so right here we have a big lemon balm bush. Got some tiger lilies growing up here, a whole bunch of raspberries. Here we have some seedless grapes. It looks like it's called the Flame variety. They're doing pretty good for being 1 year old. This one, however, is doing way better. This one is Glenora, and I thought I remember seeing some grapes on this one, but now I'm not actually, so I don't know what happened. I thought I seen grapes earlier, but anyway, those are the grapes. They're taking over the arbor little by little. And this is my peony bush here. Getting ready to open. A whole bunch of blueberries. I mean, I'm talking gobs of blueberries. There's so many. I've got some mint down off in here. Another blueberry bush there. More mint. Gobs and gobs of blueberries. This is a boxwood. This is a sedum, which looks like something might have fell into it. It doesn't normally look all bent over like that. Although the deer did get into the garden a couple days ago, so I wouldn't be surprised if they had something to do with that. My rescue tree is looking really good, lots of new growth. Over in this bed, I have some volunteer pansies. This is a baby's breath. Some more strawberries, a whole bunch of sedums. This is a couple of dianthus that I have. That is crocrosmia. And we have another iris here. A zinnia grew from seed. And that is a black-eyed Susan. This bed here, we just have some chives, a bunch of creeping Jenny, black-eyed Susan, kind of the same mix as the last one. Lilies, more alliums, lemon balm, and lavender. Okay, so let's go over here. I've got some mint, a couple of blueberry bushes. These onions I am gonna let go to bloom, or go to seed rather, and collect the seeds. And I just think they look cool. More blueberries, got a boxwood over there. Got some variegated strawberries, which is super interesting, so that's why I left them here. One of these days I'll transplant them and put them in their own spot. But yeah, variegated strawberry, I've never seen anything like it. And I have some Solomon seal, which is this plant here with the little dangly flowers. A whole bunch of raspberries. I've got a whole bunch of lettuce that I'm ready to harvest. And these are all black crim tomatoes. This bed is a carbon copy of the one next to it. Just salad, tomatoes, peas, and I do have a few volunteer potatoes in there as well. I just love this little shady spot. Here comes the lawnmower again, so I'm going to get a little quiet and just kind of show you around here. Okay, so over here in this bed, I've got a bunch of volunteer raspberries and also some peas that I planted. I do need to sort of guide these over onto the trellis there. Got some sedums getting ready to bloom, more volunteer raspberry plants. I do like volunteer raspberry plants, however, they will eventually take over this blueberry bush that I planted, and I'm not quite sure how that's all going to work out yet. This is one of the raspberries that was gifted to me, and the deer got to them when they got into the yard the other day and ate a lot of the blossoms off, which was very disappointing. But overall, they still look pretty healthy. This is a huckleberry, a wild huckleberry bush that I just decided to leave here. And over here, I have more tomatoes, all going all the way down. This is a climbing triple crop. One of my favorites, and I'm sad that I only got two because I need to pull this one up because it's got blight. I've basically defoliated almost the whole thing, and it's even getting it on the new growth and on the blossoms, so in order that it doesn't infect my other ones, I got to pull it out, unfortunately. But I have other ones that I can put in its place, just different varieties. This one here is a solar flare. It's a new one from Baker Creek that I've never grown before. Actually, I think it says Wild Boar Farms brand, not Baker Creek. This one is Berkeley's Tie-Dye Green. Another new one for me. That one was from Baker's Creek. It's got a big, big fused blossom in here. I should just pick it off because if you allow these ones to grow, what you'll end up with is cat-faced tomatoes. And it's basically when you get 3 to 4 tomatoes that are all trying to grow together as one, and there's a lot of cracking, and they don't ever make good tomatoes, so I always take those off. And then here is a kind of a sorry sight. This is my Kajari melon that I planted out way too early, and we've just had such a wet, cold spring that it started to get blight, and I've had to defoliate most of it just to pick off the blight. hoping that it'll recover. I'm not quite sure. I do have some fruit set, but we'll see. This here is a Sungold cherry tomato. In the middle is a, oh, what is that one that everybody's always raving about? Brad's Atomic Grape. It's got some really cool coloring to it. And then this is another Sungold. It's doing really, really good. And I actually already have some little tomatoes starting. Those are my absolute favorite cherry tomatoes, so I'm excited about that. This is a blackberry that gets berries about the size of my thumb. So I'm training this to kind of go up and out of the way and over, so I don't get stuck in all the blackberries while I'm trying to get to my tomatoes. These are all my peppers. This is called Ajvarsky. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. It's AJ Ajvarsky, I guess. A bunch of volunteer tomatoes. I'm not quite sure what variety this is because I had several in here last year. I had some Paul Robeson and another one. And this one is, oh, I guess these are all the, oh, that was a King of the North, Ajvarskys. Here we have more volunteer tomatoes. And this one is a Corbaci. And yep, all three look like they're Corbachis. And this one here is Jimmy Nardello. And they're all branching out looking pretty good actually. Got some more volunteer mulleins here. These are all dianthus and all the holes of the cinder blocks. Those are gonna look really cool. It's a volunteer columbine. So pretty. Just love this color. Look at that, like cranberry or like a burgundy. It's real pretty. Sunflowers. Sunflowers in May. It's hard to believe, but it's true. This is a multi-headed sunflower. My little potting bench that I never use. My little greenhouse that I don't ever use now that I got my big one. Blackberries are just all cascading. This is just a bunch of ground cover, mostly creeping jenny, some strawberries. I've got some sunflowers here. This is a pink blueberry, whole bunch of oregano, and these are some raspberries with more oregano. It's really taking over. I need to do something about the oregano here. I've got some volunteer strawberries. There's peas, and there's also red Russian kale. And this is just like an ornamental grape growing up the vine there. And here comes the lawnmower again. These are my kiwis. And I don't see any blossoms on them again this year. It's kind of disappointing, but they'll blossom eventually, right? Yeah, I just don't see any blossoms or any indication of blossoms anywhere. I mean, those kind of look odd, right? Are those kiwis? I don't think so. They're way too hard, and I've never even seen blossoms, so I don't see how those could be kiwis, although I mean, that looks like it could be a kiwi too, but I don't think so. I mean, it would be cool if they were, but I guess I should look up kiwis but see, they're getting these like weird bumps. See that weird bump? That weird bump? Those are not kiwis, so I don't think that I have any actual kiwis on here. This is my 3-way apple tree. I've got some Honeycrisp, some Spartan, and I can't remember the other variety, but that one's getting lots of new growth on it. Over here in my compost bin, I actually planted a bunch of potatoes. And these were all my leftover seed potatoes that I had, so there's just a menagerie of potatoes growing in here. these tomatoes all got blight really bad because we've had such a cold, wet spring. And as soon as I see it, I pick it off. I've defoliated a lot. But I think if I stay on top of it, and if it can grow fast enough to replace some of the foliage that I'm picking off, I'm hoping that it will still do okay. I do have one tomato. It's a little cat face on the bottom. That's what happens when you let a fused blossom go. So it's not prime, but I do have some blight here. So I just pick these leaves off whenever I see it, which is all the time. But I mean, what else can I do? I don't have the heart to pull it out. These are like my main tomatoes. So I don't know, we'll see. But it is everywhere. Here's a bad one here. That is blight, early blight. And it started early too. And see, you can see this whole arm has it. So I should just really take this whole thing off, but man. It's even got it on this one too. Is a wasp nest in this greenhouse. And I gotta be careful because I'm allergic to bee stings. I want to start training this to grow up through here. Okay, that's doing good. All right. Okay, so over here we have some sunflowers planted. I have a big tree kale. That there, I can't remember the name of, but it looks like it needs water. The leaves are gigantic. Look at the size of that leaf. I can't even get the whole thing in the camera lens. But I do need to harvest some of this. And then back here, I've got a Cinderella pumpkin. These are all volunteer potatoes. Some more sunflowers, more sunflowers. There's a pink blueberry back there. This is my lilac that is done, but it smelled so good while it was blooming. More sunflowers. This is my dogwood tree. All the blooms are done. It was so pretty when it was blooming. It's gotten a lot of growth. 2 years ago, if you can imagine, I had this in the back seat of my car to bring it home. Okay, well, we've got the lawnmower going, and now the neighbor has his tractor going as well, so it's just getting really noisy here on the homestead. But I just wanted to give you guys a garden tour to show you what all is blooming. For the most part, aside from disease, bugs, weather, and deer, everything's doing okay. Everything would be doing amazing if it weren't for all of the other things that keep going wrong, it seems like. But we just gotta keep on persevering, right? Yeah, so we'll do another tour here soon. Hopefully the next one won't be so noisy. And hope you guys are having a good day and staying safe. I hope you're able to plant a garden wherever you're at, even if it's just a small window box with some herbs. Food security and self-sufficiency is everything. You know, you don't want to be depending on anybody else for your food security, especially the government. So yeah, get out and plant something if you can. Use your stimulus check to go out and get supplies. Use your stimulus check to go get a greenhouse. Some big piles of compost. Seeds, stock up on a bunch of seeds while you can get them. Seeds do last a while if they're stored properly. They'll last way longer than a year. You know, it makes me feel at ease knowing that I'm actually being proactive and doing something for my future here, for my family, and hopefully my friends as well, if we can get enough food stocked up. And so if you guys want to talk, leave a comment down below. Please like and subscribe. I know this is a little bit of a longer video, but I'm sure there will be some people who will enjoy seeing everything in detail. So, All right, guys, I guess that's it. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. All right, bye.